Hey there, it's Dr. Tom with EBM Fitness Solutions, and I want to talk to you a little bit about stretching and foam rolling. If you're starting a program and you have some pain, should you stretch, should you foam roll? Probably, maybe. Here's what you shouldn't do. Do a generic stretching program for the entire body or spend 20 or 25 minutes rolling out your entire body. That's a misuse of those modalities and really a less effective way to get the most out of those things. As a basic general rule, if something's tight, you want to stretch it, which for the most part makes sense, although sometimes when muscles are tight, it's because they're already overstretched, and that's where the foam rolling can kind of come into play. So the idea really is to maximize your efforts with each one. Not everything needs to be stretched, not everything needs to be rolled, and that's where foam rolling and stretching kind of get a bad rap and a bit of a bad reputation, because people spend all this time doing these things and they don't get any better from doing it. The other part of that is, in and of themselves, stretching and foam rolling won't fix whatever problems that are causing your pain. They are steps to lead you down that path, but they have to be paired with other things. If you just stretch and do no movement, no exercise, and no follow-up activities, the stretching alone won't fix the problem. And the same thing with foam rolling. As great as it is for certain things, if all you do is roll out occasionally, but don't follow that up with maybe some additional stretching or some exercises or other activities, the foam rolling is less effective and it will not resolve the problem. It might manage your symptoms, but that's about what you're going to get if you just do those things. I'm not going to bore you with a ton of anatomy, but knowing some basics does help when stretching and when foam rolling. You want to make sure if you're stretching a certain muscle, that's the muscle that you're stretching, and what you're feeling is actually the muscle stretch and not you just pulling and yanking on other structures and mistaking that feeling as a stretch for the muscles. The best example I can give is hamstring stretching. So the hamstrings run on the back of your thigh, and for the basic anatomy purposes here, I'll skip all the boring origin, insertion, and nerve innervations. We'll skip that. Basically, it goes from the bottom of your butt to the back of your knee. Okay, so when you're stretching the hamstring, it should stay there. And usually people feel it a little bit like in the middle or maybe a little bit below that, closer to the knee, not so much towards the butt. But anywhere in that area is okay. If you're doing a hamstring stretch and it gets into your calf, that should sort of send off a reminder for you, like, wait a minute, hamstring stops at the knee, what am I feeling in my calf? Or if it's up into your butt or your glute area, into the low back, none of that's okay. None of that is hamstring stretching, and that means something is being done incorrectly, right? The common thing that people do is they stretch their sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve, it runs from your spine through your glute, through your butt, all the way down here. Behind the knee it splits, and then it runs down the leg, and goes basically all the way down to the heel and the bottom of the foot. So if you're stretching your hamstrings and you're feeling it pulling and burning into your calf, that is not a muscle stretch. Okay? Muscles don't burn when they're stretched, but nerves do. So keep that in mind. The hip flexor, which kind of runs through the front of the leg here, a lot of people do a hip flexor stretch that has way too much movement, and what they're doing is they're stressing the front of the hip capsule. They're not actually stretching the hip flexor at all. So again, they mistake the feeling of something for the stretch. So understanding where the muscles attach, and it's a basic anatomy, can help you get the most out of your stretching. And even with the foam rolling too, understanding what you're trying to do and where you're rolling does make a difference in terms of you getting the most out of those modalities. One quick thing about foam rolling. When you roll over muscles and they hurt, that is an abnormal response from the muscle. It shouldn't hurt for you to touch the muscle. If you roll over your IT band or your calf or something, those are not normal responses. So when that happens, the common thought is that people don't want to do that because it hurts so bad. Even though it's abnormal, that indicates that the more that thing hurts, the more you actually need to do it to break up and loosen up whatever's causing that discomfort. Whether you call it a trigger point or a knot or an adhesion, doesn't matter what you call it. There's something in there, doesn't belong there, and the only way to get rid of it is with manual type pressure. That's the case where the muscle is already overstretched. It's going to sound weird, but when you have a knot in a muscle, if you think about it like a knot in a rope, even though it's not the same, just envision you have a piece of rope, tie a knot, pull the rope, and then the ends of the rope move in because you have the knot in the middle, right? If you think about that as it pertains to a muscle, and although this is not exactly how it goes, if you tie a knot in a muscle, the muscle is attached on both ends, so the ends can't move in closer. They actually get pulled further, they stretch. So that's where that tight muscle, you could stretch it all you want, but it's already overstretched. You're just going to make things worse. So what you need to do then is apply the pressure to that knot, that trigger point, and what it does is it kind of releases the tension and will actually bring the muscle back to more of a resting position. It kind of puts a little bit of slack back into the muscle, and that's how the foam rolling can help when the stretching doesn't help. And how do you know which one will work? A little trial and error. Again, the foam rolling, if you roll over the muscle and you find, the IT bends a common, if you roll over and you find some spots there that kind of make you see stars and kind of straighten up your body like, whoa, what the heck was that? That's more likely to be you'll benefit more from the foam rolling and probably not as much from the stretching. That being said, if you foam roll, sometimes stretching after that can help the muscle kind of really get back to its resting position a little bit better. Another thing that comes up is ideal. Should I stretch here or there, or I shouldn't stretch cold muscles, only stretch after warmed up? And sure, do the muscles potentially stretch better after they're warmed up? Yeah. But does that mean that you can't do a few stretches first thing in the morning, or some stretches right before bed, or at some other point in the middle of your workday? Of course not. The idea is don't focus on the little things, right? Don't major in the minors like that. Just do some stretches. Do some hip flexor stretching in the middle of the day if you sit at a desk all day. Or if you've been in the car for a while and you want to get up and do some gentle hamstring stretching or stretch out your calves and your ankles, yes, do those things. And don't worry about, oh, I don't have 20 minutes. Don't worry about it. Even if you do one stretch, maybe you stretch your hip flexors, one on each side for 30 seconds each, it's better than not doing it, right? Is it ideal? Maybe not, but still, if you can do one now, maybe do one later, and then do another one later, there's still benefit to be gained from doing those things. So don't get too fixated on ideal and avoid doing something because you don't have all the time you think you need. Just do a little something and build the habit that way. There's benefit to be gained from doing it that way. I've been sharing a lot of information over the last few days regarding EBM's Maiden Voyage program. If it sounds like something you might be interested in, drop me a comment, drop me a little bicep emoji, some metal horns, drop me something below and let me know you're interested, and I'll send you some information. The Maiden Voyage program is the start of your pain-free journey. It's going to help you reduce your pain, move better, feel stronger, and get back to doing things that the pain is preventing you from doing.